Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I see participants are still joining in. So let's wait for a minute or so that everyone joins in and then we can get started. Great. Also, participants, since you've joined, just let me know in the chat if I'm clearly visible and audible. Just like a yes or a no or a thumbs up will, confirm that to me. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to everyone. Okay, so I see a few yeses. That's amazing. I hope this is the same with everyone. Perfect. Great. I'm really happy to see that there are a few more participants who are joining. So let's just wait for another minute. We'll get started at 7:02 probably. Yeah. Meanwhile, y'all can let me know what background are you coming from? What is it that you're expecting from today's session? That would be very helpful. Those insights would be very helpful for us. We'll also have a poll, which I will be publishing soon. But yeah, meanwhile, y'all can let me know. Okay. Great. I think, okay. So Rakesh has posted something in the chat, customer success, account management, looking to move into PM role. That is amazing. All right. So also let me tell you, participants, the session will be followed by a 15 minutes Q&A towards the end of the session. So just make sure that whatever questions you may have, please, start shooting them in the Q&A, because we would be very happy to answer all the questions. And that is why we're here today. So just start posting all your questions in the Q&A, and, we'll get started. Perfect. So it's 7:02. I'll just quickly get started. So firstly, I'm going to introduce myself. I am Shubhada Lokre and I'm a program manager at Upgrad. So if you do have any questions related to product management, programs, or about Upgrad, I would be the correct person to answer those questions for you. Right now, let's just there are two things that I would just like to mention before we start the session. Firstly, I've mentioned about the Q&A. So participants have just joined. I'll just reiterate once again, we have a Q&A towards the end of the session, and we really have amazing people with great expertise in product. So just make sure that you're posting your questions in the Q&A. Secondly, there's also a chat option that you will see in front of your screen. So if you do have any thoughts, because we really want to make this session very interactive, we'll have a lot of questions and polls as well. So if there are any suggestions, any thoughts that you would like to present, please post it in the chat option. Yeah. Before I just introduce the topic, the agenda, and the speaker, I'm just going to post and I'm going to just launch the introduction poll. It has 5 to 6 questions, 5 to be specific. Yeah, so I would just request all of you all to cast your votes, because this is an important poll for us to understand what background are you coming from and what is it that you're expecting from today's session. So, we'll be able to customize the session and we can make this 1 hour really productive for you all. So just go ahead and, start filling up the poll. I'm at least expecting 80 to 90% participation. So, I have enough data points to share with our speakers today. Great. So I see 32% participation. That's great. Let me just keep this poll live for a while, and I'll just take this time to to talk about the topic, what we will be learning today, and who are the speakers. So firstly, let's talk about the topic. We are going to do a case study. Basically, we'll demonstrate a case study of Flipkart, where we will talk about how user engagement is important and how it can be derived through ratings and reviews, because ratings and reviews are very important for any businesses to understand where they're standing, gaining constant feedback, right? So this is what we will be talking today, and to present this particular topic, we have a product expert, a group product manager, who is from Flipkart, and he'll be presenting the Flipkart, problem statement, and will walk us through, how to build a roadmap around it, the experimentation phase, the launch, and the success evaluation. So yeah, I'll give little journey about Ram. So thank you so much, Ram, for joining us. We've done one session with you, which was amazing. So participants, let me tell you, as I said, he's working with Flipkart for 7 years now. and he has an overall experience of 11 years in product management, building products across multiple sectors. He's done his MBA from IIM Bangalore, and yeah, so that is it about. He's also a CFA, right, Ram? Yeah, so he's also a CFA. So yeah, thank you so much, Ram, for joining us. Pretty much looking forward to hear from you. And folks, if you do have any question, we directly have a product expert. So today is the right forum and opportunity to get all your questions answered. So yeah, just leverage on the Q&A. Now, we also have Shantanu Gupta, who is a business unit head for product management portfolio at Upgrad. Shantanu will also share his insights about product management as a domain, what are the opportunities, and how Upgrad's product management program will add value and create impact on your profile or on your portfolio, and how it will be helpful for you. So Shantanu, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Hi all.
Great.
Good evening.
All right, so 86% participation is what I have in the poll. I'm going to just stop because we're at 7-6. Sharing the results with our panelists. I hope you all can see that in front of your screen. Right. So I think the important factor today to understand is work experience. We have almost 50% participants coming with 0 to 3 years of experience, which means they're freshers and they want to enter into product management. They want to know how they can, sort of get into product management. We have 3 to 6 years, 6 to 10, 10 to 15, and 15 plus years of experience as well. Product background, almost 30% participants and 70% do not come from the product background, not a problem. Expectation majorly to understand if I can make my career in product management, upskill, and to know about product management as a domain. Motivation is to enroll into the program, hear from the speaker, and also learn about the topic. So I think, yeah, this is what I had. This gives us pretty much context, in terms of what are the expectations today and what we're supposed to deliver. So yeah, over to you, Ram. We'll just start with you, and then Shantanu, we can move to you then.
Thanks,
I'll be here moderating the session. So yeah, Ram, over to you now.
Thanks, Subudha, for the warm welcome, and thanks to Shantanu as well. I'm glad to meet you here. I'll just quickly present my screen before I get started. I hope my screen is visible.
It is to me. I hope it's visible to everyone.
Yeah, hi folks. I think interesting group of people. I think I see that majority of you are interested in moving into product management and come with kind of various degrees of experience. I'll try to keep it easy and seamless so that you're able to relate to what I'm speaking, and I'll go slightly slow with it. And if you have any questions, we can take it up at the end of the session, as Subhada rightly mentioned. So for today's discussion, we have particularly picked engagement with customer reviews as a problem statement, because we thought that it's a problem that we interface with on day in and day out basis on every other platform, be it e-commerce, be it online food ordering, be it Google Maps, whichever it is, and the problems are very much similar across all of these platforms. And you'd be keen to know about how does a PM kind of leading this area would be thinking about solving some of these problems, right? So we'll be focusing on in Flipkart, when I was leading the UGC area back in 2017-18, what are the products I built as part of this area, and how did we go about thinking some of the problems that we'll be talking about today, right? Before we begin, just a quick snapshot of how I moved into product management and what has my journey been like, right? So I started my career back in 2009 after graduating from engineering. Worked in a couple of companies, one being a startup which was the size of 25-30 odd people, and another company which was in the telecom space, fairly mature, fairly large. And both of them had a good set of learnings for me. While working in the startup, I had to do more than just being a developer, where I was being a business analyst, talking to clients, understanding the requirements, which kind of gave me the first interface into what product management is really about, right? And back in 2013, I decided to pursue my MBA, and you'll be interested in knowing that I did my MBA primarily in finance and economics, so nothing related to product management. But at the same time, I think the things that I learned set me up for doing my job really well after becoming a product manager, right? 2015, I graduated from my MBA, joined Flipkart. I've been there for 7 years, done 4 different product roles right till now. moved from being a catalog platform product manager to doing a growth stint where I was leading the growth initiatives for a couple of key categories at Flipkart, like large appliances and fashion. Large appliances is a huge GMV driver and is a critical category for Flipkart, and fashion is a huge units driver. So it's a frequent purchase category for Flipkart, and also makes a huge lot of difference in retaining our customers for the longer term, right? Then in 2017-18 is when I started leading the engagement cluster at Flipkart. UGC, user generated content, happens to be one of the product areas which I was leading at that point of time. And then lately, in the last couple of years, I've moved to the marketplace world, where I today build products for our sellers who are selling on Flipkart. One of the things I wanted to kind of mention here is that a lot of my learning as a product manager happened on the job. So I learned the craft by doing it, by failing multiple times, by experimenting with it, and learning from my peers and kind of mentors who are available as part of Flipkart as well as outside of Flipkart, right? And the awareness level when I was graduating from MBA about product management was not there yet. I see a lot of positivity there where people are much more aware. There's a lot of access to content and courses, structured courses, like for example, what Upgrad provides today, which enables you and kind of prepares you to do your job well in the when you get into this rightly, right? So I think as people aspiring to be product managers, it's important to leverage some of these structured courses and content available online to be more prepared and kind of do your job well when you get into it, right? Which was not the case when we were looking at it like 7-8 years back. So to get started with the problem statement, right? I think today I'll kind of focus on these 4-5 things, right? I'll give a slight bit of context about what was the environment, what was the ecosystem looking like back in 2017-18, and speak a bit more about what is the problem that we're going to discuss today. We'll speak a lot about how did we go about building the roadmap, what are the metrics, what are the kind of initiatives that we're looking at, and one of the particular initiatives which kind of scaled up becoming a end-to-end product in itself. I'll talk about that. How did we build it? How did we measure its success? How did we experiment with it? What were the challenges we faced while doing that, and all of that? And in the end, we'll leave some time for questions, if any. So briefly discussing about the context. So this was back in 2017-18, right? So so I think few of the trends which was kind of playing out in the broader internet ecosystem as well as in India. And these are some data points which I fetched from the Google report study on the internet user base in India. So first thing, right? I think a lot of our users who were accessing internet in India were coming for the first time and were accessing it through phones primarily. And it was a new generation of users completely. Me and a lot of you might have accessed internet for the first time on a desktop using a dial-up network or a broadband connection, and then moved on to using smartphones and accessing internet later on. But today there's a whole set of generation of users who is accessing internet directly from phones and skipping the entire desktop or tablet world, right? And that changes dynamics a lot in a huge way, right? People are not used to the kind of interactions that they have on a desktop, and they're kind of accessing everything on a phone. The second major trend that was playing out then was because of Geo and everything else which was kind of shaping up at that point of time, a lot of users were coming from interior areas in India or tier 2 and tier 3 cities, right? So, and that is reflected in kind of the traffic that was coming to online platforms, Google searches everywhere, right? So 2/3 of users in every other platform you'd see are from cities which are outside of the top 6 metro cities you can find in India, right? And the third broad trend which was playing out, people are looking for vernacular content, be it searches, be it video consumption, which is happening online in entertainment apps or social media apps. A lot of this content was being consumed in regional languages, and the growth that content in this regional language was seeing was exponential, right? It was nothing compared to what an English content or English related platforms would be noticing, right? And the same trends were also kind of reflecting in the context of Flipkart. Just to give you a sense, and this was back in 2017-18 again, right? 90% of our users were also coming and accessing Flipkart on mobile channels, right? For example, apps or either a mobile site, who did not have the app installed on their phone in the first place. A very low proportion of users were accessing from desktop. Similarly, a lot of our users were also coming from states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, who were not so well versed with English as a language. They were not English savvy, and they were very much comfortable with vernacular or Hindi or their own kind of local languages as a construct. And coming from this kind of a background, interfacing with English leads to a lot of difficulties, right? One, they don't trust the platform because they cannot understand it, right? For example, payments, which is an important component of e-commerce as a platform. You're unsure if I click on this, will my money get deducted? And on top of it, if you impose language and content on English, it kind of adds to that friction and doesn't add to your trust factor on an online platform like Flipkart, right? So a lot of these trends were playing out on Flipkart. We were also getting a large set of users from tier 3 and tier 4 cities who did not have access to a lot of selection which sells on online platforms, and they were experimenting with online purchases for the first time, right? And as a resultant of this, a lot of our problems which anyways existed got magnified even more. And if we did not have to if we didn't solve for it at then it will just kind of bubble up and start impacting our growth in a lot more ways, right? One second. Yeah, moving on. So I think given this context, the problem that we chose for today's discussion, right? We noticed that our users Flipkart users are not engaging enough with the customer ratings and reviews. And if you think about it, ratings and reviews serve multiple purposes, right? One, it helps the user in deciding what to buy or not to buy. It also helps the business or platform Flipkart as a way in terms of evaluating where am I doing good, where am I not doing good, and how do I improve on what the products and services what I deliver through Flipkart. And at the same time, there are businesses who are running, there are actors who are running their business on Flipkart, like a brand or a seller who is selling on Flipkart, who look at this data and kind of understand how do I evolve my product further, what do I launch next, how do I improve on the features that I'm delivering, how do I price it appropriately. A lot of this intelligence they are deriving based out of customer ratings and reviews. And if users are not engaging with it, a lot of this value is actually lost, right? And if you think about it, why was it an important problem for us to think about it in the first place? I think one, it's a huge indicator of user retention, right? People who engage with customer ratings and reviews, even like, for example, Google Maps, you would be using on a day-to-day basis, right? You go to Google Maps to also know about how a business entity is. Should I be dealing with it? Should I not be dealing with it? It is a huge driver of user retention in the longer term, and in the short term, it actually improves the conversion as well. There's a significant difference in conversion of people who engage with content versus who do not engage with content. Add to that, at a strategy level, we wanted to transform Flipkart from being a very transaction-oriented destination where you decide what to buy offline of Flipkart, but you come to Flipkart to seek deals, seek discounts, seek offers, and just complete your transaction. Rather than just Flipkart being a destination to just complete the transaction, how do we transform Flipkart into a more full-fledged destination where you can do research, where you can engage with people, where you can decide what to purchase. You can actually have a long-term association with Flipkart as a platform, right? So from that lens, it was an important problem for us to solve. And here again, one more important point that I would like to note. PMs generally who are beginning with their journey as a product manager tend to focus much more on the solution. How do I get something done? How do I build it? How do I engage with engineering to implement something and launch it out on the platform? But as you progress through your PM journey, you'd realize a lot more that it's more important to focus on the problem. If you understand the problem well, if you understand what creates the problem in the first place, half of your problem will be solved then and there, and solutions will become very natural and easy to kind of solve for, right? Now that we've known why was this an important problem for us to solve, the second part of the question was asking, why were users actually not engaging with reviews? What were the factors which are leading to this? And some of it might sound obvious to you, but when you dig deeper, there are nuances which you would not realize unless you look at data and spend more time interacting with your consumers, right? The first point is the availability of reviews is low. Like, not all products have reviews. And if you think about it, Flipkart or any other online marketplace sells products from different categories, right? Like, for example, if I talk about mobiles, there are a limited set of models which sell in huge quantities, right? Millions and millions of users buy every model in a mobile phone category. But if you talk about a category like furniture, there are hundreds of designs, different designs, but every design sells in a very small quantity, probably only hundreds of units for every unique style or design, right? Which kind of poses a challenge, because if you have lower number of customers, your ability to garner a huge set of reviews in each such style becomes much more difficult. And add to that, fashion, for example, as a category, your selection keeps churning out, right? Today you have some styles selling, and 2 months later that style will go out of date and there will be new selection which is coming to the platform. So to continuously solve for retaining content in all of your product across Flipkart. The second problem is a lot of users also complain to us that reviews are not entirely helpful. A lot of them are just one-liners saying that it's a nice product. It doesn't really help me make a decision beyond what I know from the rating itself, or I don't know what aspects of that product is helpful for me and what might not be helpful for me. So a lot of these reviews are not helpful enough, right? The third complaint that people keep telling us, and this you'd find in a lot of research reports as well, not all reviews are trustworthy, right? People might complain that a lot of these reviews are fake. But I think going beyond that, if you think about it, a lot of things lead to actually creating trust. For example, if I just end up showing all positive reviews upfront to a user, although I might actually have genuine reviews and I have a good mix of positive and negative reviews, what I show on top also creates a lot of perception in terms of whether reviews are trustworthy or not, right? If I show all positive reviews upfront, you tend to feel that I'm actually biased in terms of what kind of reviews I collect, which are the users who I collect reviews from, and all of that, right? So a lot of that has to do with how do we even rank and show the content on the platform in the first place. The fourth problem, right, and this ties up to the context that I said earlier, because a lot of people were accessing internet for the first time on a mobile device, the real estate on a mobile device compared to a desktop is very limited, right? I cannot show long form content, and reading long form content on a smaller device is also very difficult, right? You have to scroll multiple times. The font size is lower, so readability becomes a concern. Add to that, if you look at internet trends, our attention spans are also reducing, right? At some point of time, 45 minutes was the average kind of internet attention span that a user used to display. Today it has come down to around 10 to 15 minutes with all the trends around short video content consumption kind of growing up, right? And readability again adds to that problem. The last problem which we noticed is because a lot of these users access our platforms from interior cities and also from non-English savvy kind of user base, their comfort in terms of interpreting that content is not there enough, and that poses a challenge, right? All of these kind of put together were leading to users not using reviews and kind of not using them over time. So when we started thinking about it, so we identified those problems we wanted to solve for it, right? I think so the next step was, if let's say we build a roadmap around it, how do we kind of solve for it? What are the key metrics that we look at? How do we focus on? How do we build our roadmap? What are the kind of initiatives that would be driving? We started thinking about a lot of those, right? And if you take a step back, there are three broad users who are there in the ecosystem. The first set of users is the contributors, who people who come, write reviews, take out the time in kind of and involve in kind of getting writing the content and contributing to the platform's overall richness. The second set of users is our consumers, who read the content and decide what to buy, what not to buy. And the third set of users are business and its stakeholders like brands and sellers, who can meaningfully derive insights out of that content and use it for their own benefits, right? So we'll talk about two of these, which is the contributors and the consumers to begin with. And contributors, if I take an example, right, I think so first thing is, how do we decide what kind of metrics that we want to track when we're building this roadmap for contributors, right? So these are some of the metrics that we looked at, and every other kind of UGC platform will typically looks at as well. The first is, what is my active contributor base, right? How many users come and actually write content on a weekly basis, daily basis, monthly basis, whatever it is, right? The second key metric is how many of my customers am I able to convert to contributors, because I only allow people who have bought from a platform like Flipkart to come and actually write reviews. So how many of my customers am I able to activate into becoming reviewers on the platform? The third is how do I keep them engaging on the platform, right? Do I make them contribute regularly? So how many reviews typically do they contribute to? Does each reviewer kind of contribute in a span of 6 months to 1 year? And how do I optimize for that? That becomes your third critical metric. So these are at a customer level, right? Looking at active reviewer base, how many reviews does it contribute in a time span, and how many of my customers am I able to activate into reviews? Then there are metrics which are at a platform level. For example, if I'm selling hundreds of units today, against how many of them am I able to collect a customer feedback? If people are visiting different product pages 10 times in a day, how many of them end up having content? So the more number of page views have content, the more people are able to leverage it to decide whether to buy or not to buy. Because if you don't have content, apart from specifications and other related catalog data, users don't have a lot to help them in making that purchase decision, right? So these become your important metrics that we track in terms of building your roadmap. Now, when we thought about how do we then solve the problems that we talked about earlier, so we said we'll focus on three main things, three themes around which we'll build a roadmap. First is we'll make it very easy and seamless for anyone to come in and write a review or contribute, right? So, and in order to do that, I have to build awareness. Users have to know how can I contribute. They can actually come and contribute from any channel. They can contribute from desktop, they can contribute from apps, they can contribute from mobile sites, they can contribute if they're, let's say, logged out versus if they're logged in. How do I make it happen, right? Within an app also, is there a particular page from which I can contribute? Do I only contribute from the product page? Can I contribute from my order details page? Can I contribute from my home page? So how do I make it easy for a user to know how and where can I contribute, and I make it really accessible for him, right? The second part of it was doing better targeting, right? For example, I might have bought 5 products in the last 3 months, and potentially I can review each of those 5 products, but I might have an affinity to I might be an expert in a camera category or an expert in an electronics category, right? And I might have I might feel more confident in writing reviews for a laptop or for a camera that I bought, right? So can I understand where user is feeling more comfortable and has a preference towards, and nudge him to contribute on that first? So how can I do better targeting so that my ability to convert him from a customer to a reviewer kind of increases drastically, right? And how do I make it in the best possible manner? For example, should I reach out to him at 4 p.m. in the evening or in the 10 p.m. in the evening? For example, one of the data points that we keep seeing at Flipkart is people contribute more either in the early morning kind of sessions or in late evening kind of sessions. And it is natural, right? People might be busy with work or school or whatever it is during the daytime, and they don't contribute a lot. And that's how the traffic pattern also looks at Flipkart, right? So how do I target in the right kind of time of the day as well to make them convert better, right? So these are things you think about when you are trying to make it easy and seamless for users to contribute. The second broad theme was not make them put in a lot of effort. How do you kind of bridge the gap between a natural way to express yourself versus what a platform needs you to contribute? For example, if I'm expressing my opinion, I'll use voice, I'll just speak about it, right? Or I'll take a camera snap, I'll take a video of it and kind of share it. But if I have to, but erstwhile, if I have to write a review in a platform like Flipkart, I'll have to type it out, which is not very natural, right? So then how do I leverage that to make it more easier? So we experimented with things like, for example, IVRS, right? Where machine would do a IVRS call to a user, and user will just speak out what he wants to speak about the product, and we do the auto translation of speech to text and kind of capture it as a review. So we experimented with a lot of that as well. The third theme on which we wanted to build the roadmap was how do we reward people who actually help contribute on the platform? Because there have to be incentives tied to for people to do it. Some people contribute because they want to help other people who are transacting online. Some people contribute because there is an expectation that if I help today, I'll get a help back from those users tomorrow when I'm trying to make a decision. But these two scenarios put together is a very small cohort of users. A large part of our users need some incentive to come and incentive to kind of come and contribute online, right? So how do I build ways to kind of recognize them, give them additional incentives in the process of actually contributing? So those are the things that we think about while building a roadmap. Moving on, sorry. Similarly, when you think about the other side of the ecosystem, which is the consumption side, right? So there are different metrics that we look at when you are building products for the consumer side, right? For example, how many users are engaging with reviews in their purchase journey on a weekly basis? How does it impact or improve our conversion rate? When I say conversion, just to give you some context, what I mean is there can be visit level conversion and the visitor level conversion. When I say visitor level conversion, what we typically mean is, let's say there are 100 unique users who are coming to Flipkart in the next X days. How many of them end up actually making a purchase on Flipkart, right? That is the conversion. The higher the percentage, the better it is for the platform, right? So by leveraging, by improving engagement to a lot greater deal, I can actually influence Flipkart's conversion, right? And if I use content in making the right purchase decision, I'll be more satisfied after the purchase and I'll return less. And all of that will reflect in kind of NPS, returns behavior, retention metrics, all of that, right? Now, when we started thinking about the roadmap for consumers, and we knew these are the metrics we want to optimize for, we started building the roadmap on again 4 different themes here. The first theme was because of the trends that were showing up, how do we focus more on visuals and imagery rather than text, right? How do we move into image-based reviews? How do we move into video-based reviews? How do we deliver reviews in a format which is much more understandable to users? For example, stories as a format, can we use it to deliver customer feedback? The second broad theme was, how do we summarize content, right? Because we talked about, right, reading long form content on a mobile device is difficult, right? And people don't want to read a lot of content. So can I summarize the content for them? Can I generate insights out of that content and deliver them so that it's easy for them to consume? The third part was, how do I personalize it? For example, there are different sets of users. One user might be looking for a gaming phone who is optimizing for performance. And if there's a user who is like me, you would want to optimize for, let's say, a camera phone, right? Which takes good quality pictures, right? Now, knowing what a user is looking for will also help you deliver the right kind of content for him. And it can be, the personalization can act at 2 levels, not just at a user level, but at a session and context level as well. For example, today, if you go to Zomato, let's say I search for something called prawns, right? So you'll invariably start seeing restaurants which are being recommended in the search result which sell prawns, and you'll see review snippets being suggested to you which talk about the dishes around prawns being sold in that restaurant, right? So you can personalize not just at a user level, but at the level of the context and the session, what you're doing in that particular session. And the last part is, how do you not just let content be a very independent product in itself, but how do we integrate it across the funnel? For example, can I do a ranking boost, discovery ranking, search ranking boost for products which are top rated, so that people find it easier to discover products which are good rated, right? So I can do a lot of these things if I try to optimize for consumers and focusing on the metrics that we have kind of listed down here. So we put together this roadmap for both the content creators and the consumers. And we started experimenting with a lot of initiatives that we had identified. Some of them succeeded, some of them failed. So here I would like to talk about one particular product which we built across this journey, which kind of gave us a huge deal of impact. And it was also an industry leading product because it was the first in the e-commerce space to come up. And I'll talk about this for the next 10 to 15 minutes for the remaining of the session, right? So here what we're targeting to do was, there were two sets of stakeholders, right? There were users and there were businesses. Users had these needs particularly. I want to know more about the product and what are its features, what is working well, what is not working well, how does it compare with other product alternatives which exist in the marketplace or in the offline world, and how does this perform in comparison to that? And there are users with different kind of needs. How do I cater to them? From a business standpoint, there were two broad needs. One was, I wanted to help the user in making an easier and a faster decision. Second, I wanted to learn from the customer feedback and improve the quality of my products and services, and also help me decide what to build next, right? So these were the needs I wanted to kind of serve through the product that I'm building. So in order to do that, we built a product which we internally kind of call as aspect ratings and reviews. So what it does is basically, it summarizes customer feedback, and so it identifies different aspects of the product which matter to that category. For example, if you're buying a mobile phone, the different kind of aspects which matter are the quality of the sound, the performance, the quality of the camera, all of that. If you're buying an AC, you would be worried about how energy efficient the AC is, how is the cooling performance, all of that. If you're buying furniture, you'd be worried about what is the how long can I use it? Is it termite proof? All of that, right? So depending on which category that you're buying, the levers that you use to decide what to buy, what not to buy differ, right? And people write about a lot of these things when they're actually writing reviews. But identifying the relevant information corresponding to these aspects by reading multiple reviews is very difficult. So our intent was, how do I structurally derive these insights from reviews by using data mining techniques, by using ML models, and kind of summarize it for the customer so that it's easy for the customer to kind of consume it. And the second philosophy which we are kind of building with was, let's not restrict it to just text, right? We'll start from text, but we'll not just stop at doing it for text. We can extend it for images and videos. For example, I don't know how many of you have actually tried buying, let's say, a beauty product on an online marketplace. but some of the challenges that you face, right? So for example, if you're buying a lipstick, the questions that typically users would have in mind is the color that I see on the online platform, is it going to be the same that I actually get when the product is delivered to me, or there'll be a slight kind of difference, right? And sometimes just the color text which is called out on the product is not very specific enough, right? And how is this kind of gap bridged in the user's mind? A lot of people who, after buying the lipstick, scribe it on their face or on their hand and upload an image of it, so that another user coming to the platform can see it and know what is the actual color of the product, right? Similarly, people actually update their reviews, for example, once after they buying and after using the product 1 year and 2 years down the line, just to showcase that my experience after immediately using the product versus 2 years down the line could be very different, and how do I make people aware of those nuances, right? So we wanted to do a lot more in understanding these aspects in a better way and summarizing customer feedback for the user, right? So we went to the very easy to use interface, right, which is like a stories format, where you'd see a aspect level rating, like you would see a 4.9 star here given to cooling, right? You understand that basically this AC is rated as 4.9 on the aspect of cooling, and if I click on it, you can actually read through review snippets which talk about cooling, and you'll have a good mixture of positive and negative reviews which talk about it. So it's not like you don't know why the rating is 4.9. You can actually go through reviews and justify why is that rating 4.9, why is that rating 3.5, right? You can actually filter for negative reviews, recent reviews, positive reviews, and see through reviews which justify that rating. Similarly, for images also, we grouped them and we kind of attached it to these aspect ratings, and if you click on it, you can actually go through a set of reviews to see it, right? And what this does is two things. One, it crosses your language barriers a great deal, right? Because you don't have to read long form content, right? I have to just read 1 word and 2 word, and most people understand what is value for money. Most people will understand what is delivery. And even if you don't understand, if I have to tomorrow deliver this in a regional language, which we did over time, it's easy to translate. It's easy to translate cooling into a Hindi language or a Marathi language or whatever it is. And it's not so easy to kind of translate sentences and long paragraphs into a regional language, but it's easy to translate specific kind of terms into different regional languages, right? So that is one benefit. So serving vernacular users becomes much more easy and effective. The second is it's easy to consume, right? It's a very tap heavy interface. You can communicate emotions, and by using the right kind of designs and color coding across it, you can really communicate easily as to what is working well and what is not working well across this product. Like for example, this screenshot that I've in the rightmost here, you can see what are people delighted about, what are people not liking so much, and what are people finding it kind of okay, right? So you can make a lot of this distinction in a very easy manner without having to read through a lot of these reviews. So we built this product. I'll not go into details of how did we build this. A lot of data science went into it, for example, in identifying what these aspects are, then and doing it in a semi-automated manner, right? Using using a lot of ops help to kind of generate initial tags, and kind of then data science models will kind of learn from it. Then we had to tag reviews to aspect. Given a review, how machines kind of automatically detect what aspect the review is talking about, and there can be same sentence talking about multiple kind of aspects. I can write that camera is good but display is bad, right? So the same sentence is talking about two different aspects. How do I understand in a better way using data science models? Then deriving the sentiment out of it, what like camera is good and display is bad, understanding that camera is being talked about positively but display is kind of being talked about negatively. How do I understand it in a better way? And then combining all of these and kind of summarizing and building the user experience around it. Now, when we did this, and this is the last slide that I'm going to talk about, and then we can stop and take Q&A questions, if any. So when we did this, it obviously made a lot of impact in our metrics. First of all, it was first in the industry. Today, you'd find similar features existing in a lot of other platforms as well, and not just e-commerce, but other platforms as well. And we have a patent around this as well. But it also led to a lot of metrics goodness for us, right? We saw a 5x jump in user engagement. A lot of new users started engaging with it, were erstwhile not engaging with user reviews, and that led to eventual conversion uplift in our platform. We had a very healthy conversion of improvement in it, right? Scaling up the product was a challenge, obviously, because we were not talking about just 4 or 5 categories. We started with actually 4 or 5 categories. When we did the initial experimentation, we wanted to reduce the scope. We wanted to first evaluate that this is our hypothesis, this is the solution that we have in mind. Can we put it out there to users and see if that really works or doesn't work, right? So what we did was we chose categories where we had enough reviews to mine these insights kind of and build the experience around it. So we picked mobiles, we picked large appliances as categories to experiment with. We picked a certain set of hundreds of products where we did this, we did an A/B experiment, and we measured some of these metrics. And once we're confident that the solution that we're going after is actually showing the impact and is leading to metrics improvement, we started scaling it up. Today, we have this product across hundreds of categories, right? And scaling up actually was a huge challenge, some of which I'm going to talk about right now. One major challenge was, how do I balance, because I'm talking about a data science problem here, how do I balance precision versus recall? And typically, and these are very specific terminologies which you'll probably encounter when you start doing product management actively. Precision typically kind of stands for how accurate my predictions are, and recall typically stands for how well am I able to do these predictions in a larger set of data, not just a very small portion of data, right? How widespread is my predictions? Can I do it for a larger portion of data? All of that. So how do I balance between these two? For example, if I and typically it's a trade-off. If you are improving precision, recall would go for a toss. If you're improving recall, precision would go for a toss. And we have to take a very category sensitive lens here. Like if I'm doing mobiles, because I have huge set of reviews for every product, I can optimize for precision. Even if I'm not able to derive insights out of 20% of my reviews, it's completely okay, because 80%, the remaining 80% of reviews is also huge in number, and I can use it to derive very accurate insights. Versus in a category like furniture, when I have very low density of reviews in a specific style or product, I have to optimize for recall, because otherwise I'll not be able to show insights in majority of my products. The second bigger challenge was dealing with the complexities of language and how people write content, right? The grammar, the kind of words people use are not accurate enough. They are kind of, people kind of make a lot of shortcuts there, right? And second, they are not sticking to one particular language like English. They're actually mixing words from different languages and writing the content. And training models and doing automation in understanding these kind of languages is very, very difficult. And it needs a huge lot of iterations and kind of continuous optimizations to get to that level of accuracy. The third is also the nuances which change across categories. For example, if I'm talking about smartphones, saying that the volume is loud is actually taken as a good thing, right? So because more people can hear from it and all of that. But if I'm saying that a washing machine is making a loud noise, it's actually a negative thing, because it can disturb your audience and all of that, right? So keep understanding a particular phrase in the context of a category and the product that we're discussing also makes a huge lot of difference. So these are some of the challenges that which we faced over that. But eventually we built this product, we scaled up to 100 plus categories, and it has shown a good improvement in our user engagement and conversion metrics. Yeah, so this is what I had for today. I'll just pause here, and if there are any questions, happy to deep dive into those and kind of answer those.
Right. Thank you so much, Ram, for sharing your insights and enlightening us. Shantanu, would you like to share a few insights on this particular topic on product management?
Yep. Hi all. Good evening again. So product management as a program, Upgrad has been teaching since last 5 years now. We started way back in 2017. So it was a passion project of one of our co-founder, because they were also a product manager. So that came out from a place of joy and enrichment for the learners, not just, it's just a program that we sell. Over a period of time, we also started with the Duke University, which was one of the best universities in US and all of the world for the product management portfolio. Right now, because we are got the opportunity to go global, we have tied up with SMEs and professors from across the globe, and we are able to take we have been able to take the program to the next level, so that you learn the best concepts from the best of the world, not just from Indian faculty. Obviously, Ram is there, and people like Ram are helping us to create the content. At the same time, we take the learnings from US and the countries where this entire product management portfolio started from. And at the same time, like I've been looking at the multiple questions, it is not just for techies who can do product management. For example, one of my fellow, I'm a chartered accountant, right?
That we have.
Yeah.
Is background required?
No background required. The only eligibility criteria is that you need to have a bachelor's degree. Post that, even I'm a chartered accountant, and one of my fellow colleagues has done product management program, who was a chartered accountant, and they have moved to a product management role. So it's just you need to have the eager to learn something new, and you can just crack the product management portfolio for sure.
Right, great. So let's just move on to the Q&A. Firstly, thank you so much, participants, for staying. We are quickly starting with the Q&A now. Great. So there will be certain questions that, Ram would be taking, few, Shantanu and me, so that it will be a mix and match. Also, let me tell you, participants, Ram is also our subject matter expertise in the program. So, you'll meet a lot of, you'll meet Ram plus more, experts like him in the session who will be sharing insights and who would be teaching you. So yeah, that was one thing that I wanted to mention. Perfect. Okay, great. So I'm starting with the first question, which is from Rakesh. Thank you for your valuable information. Ram, can you just stop presenting? That would be great. Yeah. I'm looking to move into SaaS cloud-based PM role, mainly for companies like Microsoft and Google. Could you please shed some light on what I should be looking for, or how should I prepare for that?
So I think one of the earlier sessions I did was on how do I kind of prepare for a product management interview. So I think what you have to understand is there are two things, right? One is what kind of things that you get evaluated for in a product management interview process, and there are typical skills like how do you solve problems, how structured you are in kind of approaching the problem. Can you think about metrics that need to be tracked for ensuring a product is successful or not? How do you build a roadmap around building the product that you want to? How do you prioritize between different initiatives? Can you do you understand how to kind of experiment and launch a particular product? How do you work with marketers, sellers to kind of make it successful? So there are a lot of these skills that you need to develop and use on a day-to-day basis, as well as when you interview for a company like Microsoft. So first I would suggest is understand what the interview process is of that company. Whether it's a combination of typically the interview process has two parts to it, right? One is checking on your competencies and skills, which kind of vary from problem solving to product thinking to metrics understanding to execution skills. And then there is a set of interviews in helping the panelists understand your leadership qualities and your soft skills, right? Can you engage with stakeholders? Can you collaborate well? Are you open to getting feedback? Can you work with customers in generating insights? How do you kind of resolve conflicts? How can you influence people without authority, right? So the kind of interview process is there to evaluate you on a set of competencies plus your leadership skills. So you need to prepare well to kind of clear that process. And when you get into product management, you need to develop your skills that I talked about, right? I think that's the way to go about it. And you can obviously use some of the content which is available online, or a course like Upgrade or anything else, which kind of has a structured program to help you teach that, right? And I think product management is also a thing which you learn more by experience and doing stuff. And it's very less of theoretical knowledge, right? You just learn. It is not going to help you a lot unless you practice it and on a day-to-day basis and apply it regularly.
Right. Thank you so much, Ram, for answering. And thank you, Rakesh, for your question. What I've done is I've just shared, Rakesh, the link to our program. You can just go and check out our program, because the skills that Ram spoke about in terms of building strategy, roadmap, matrix evaluation, success matrix, everything is what we will be teaching you in the program. So what I would recommend you is, you just go to this link, check out the syllabus. If you still have any questions, get in touch with our academic team, and we would be very, very happy to assist you. So yeah, you can just go ahead and do that. And also Ram spoke about experimental learning, right? So in our program, we'll also have a lot of case studies, assignments that you would be doing, a lot of projects based on every concept that you would be learning. Because I myself have done the product management program from upgrad, and I can definitely vouch for that, that we have multiple case studies, very relevant and interesting ones. So yeah, that is one thing that I wanted to mention. Perfect. Moving on to the next question, which is from Vinod. Product management internship skills. So Ram, if you could quickly take,
I think the skills would not be any different if you're an intern versus, let's say, an APM versus a senior PM versus a director of product management. I think the skills would still be similar. I think as you become more experienced in product management, you just start taking up bigger roles and bigger problem areas and much more ambiguous problem areas, right? When you're getting into an internship role or as an APM, you're focused on problems which have much more clarity. Versus when you become a senior PM, you are taking problem statements which are much more ambiguous and complex in nature. But otherwise, skills are still the same, from problem solving to building roadmaps to understanding metrics to actually influencing stakeholders and getting their buy-in to get things done. I think those are the typical skills that you would leverage in any kind of a product management role.
Right. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is from Gaurav. What's NPS?
Yeah, I think, see, NPS is a widely used metrics across the tech industry. It stands for Net Promoter Score, and it's used as an indicator of how satisfied your users are with the platform they are using, and would they refer the platform to their kind of friends and network and closer circle, right? That's the way it is used. And higher the NPS, better it is. So it's generally in a 100-point scale. And so typically if you've ordered something online, you'd see a question delivered to your mailbox saying, how likely is it that you'll recommend Flipkart to a colleague or friend of yours? And you'll have a response from 0 to 10. And depending on your response, people are broken down into promoters versus neutral guys versus detractors, and a metric called NPS derived out of it. And every platform wants to have a very high NPS.
Definitely. Okay, great. Next question is from Pragya. Do we need any technical skills to enter into product management field? We've already answered that. I meant any programming language. Actually, I'm from finance and audit background, so can I make a career in this? Thanks. So Pragya, both of our speakers today come from the finance background and have studied finance. So let's understand from both of them, how this would go. So yeah,
Shantanu made a lot of points earlier and kind of completely agree to it, right? And I'll just give you a different flavor to it. I have a lot of colleagues working with me who are from backgrounds, for example, commerce, who have not done anything related to software, or they don't have an MBA. They come from, for example, architecture backgrounds. They come from arts backgrounds, and who are coming and doing well in product management, right? So there's no limitation as to who can do it. I think the only things that you need to know is you should be a good problem solver. You need to be able to empathize with people's problems, be it the customer problem or the stakeholders problem or business problem. As long as you're able to do this too well, you can actually get into product management and grow well in that career. Having a knowledge of software will make it slightly easier for you to begin with, because you can converse well with engineering and get things done. But it's also a temporary thing. Even if you don't have that background, it's a matter of 2 to 3 months. We'll get used to it and do well on that front. And definitely, don't need to know any coding or programming knowledge.
Right. Shantanu, your understanding around this.
Yeah, so in addition to being the business head for product manager, I'm also leading the product analytics team. So I have those discussions with the product managers from a day-to-day standpoint. So again, like Tom said, problem solving is the critical thing. How you look at things from a different lens, because everyone just want an end result. They don't know how to reach there, or how will they solve the problem. Just going to granularities of it, and then again, after once you've solved for it, how to manage the stakeholders efficiently becomes very critical. So how you look at problem and how you look at people, both these things combined, you can become a successful product manager.
Definitely, totally agree on that. I hope, Pragya, that answers your question. And since you're looking to make your career in PM, just check out the link that I've shared in the chat, and I'll just quickly post it again. Yeah, we also have specializations in the program, so you can check that out as well. We have 3 specialization, that is growth in product management, artificial intelligence, machine learning solutions in product management, and digital transformation. So you can check those specializations out as well. So when you do kind of do these specialization, you're making yourself visible and approachable to more opportunities, than by just having the basic skill sets. Okay, great. The next one is okay. Let's take this one. This is an interesting one. It is a question from Amarjeet. So tell me about early stage of Flipkart. How you add products on your website?
Okay, I think
he's asking about your experience.
I think there are 2 parts to the question. I think I'll answer it one by one. Early stage of Flipkart, I think it was very different from what it is today in many ways, right? I think the ecosystem was less evolved. So a lot of PMs were also new to the craft and learning on the job. And the processes were not that evolved. For example, the way we go about writing PR days, doing product review sessions internally, getting sign-offs from stakeholders, launching it. We didn't have a lot of processes, right? We were good problem solvers, but we didn't have the right kind of processes built into make us succeed more, right? Second, I think it was a period of higher growth as well, and we had to do more things, and we had to be much more agile in building things. Where in some of the areas, some of the categories are also kind of identifying product market fit and how do we build the right kind of business models, right? Versus today, where we know where we are, what are our strengths, what are the things we do well. We have people coming in from mature companies who have lots of experience, who have bought in that knowledge of the right kind of processes, and have learned from that and evolved from there. But the industry today is very much competitive, right? Like there are different players in the ecosystem trying out different business models. We still have to be responsive to that and keep innovating, right? The culture of innovation and the culture of solving the right way for the customer is not going to change, but in terms of process and how do we go about building products has a lot of change. The second part of the question was how do you add products to your website? I think the primary mode today is the sellers who sell on Flipkart. So like you have flipkart.com as a website or app where you go and buy products, we have a similar platform exposed for sellers. There is a seller.flipkart.com. There is a seller facing Android and iOS app, where as a seller you can register. You can kind of tell us what products you want to sell. You can set its price. You can set how much of stock you want to sell on Flipkart. And that is how we kind of go about adding products to Flipkart.
Right. Okay, I'm just quickly moving on to the next question. We have 3 minutes. Let's take as many questions as we can. The next one is from Gaurav, again, an interesting one. How does the work-life balance of a PM look like? Is it any different in India versus abroad? Good one.
I think I would not take that lens, whether it's different between India and abroad. The lens that I would take is it varies a lot between different sectors, different scale of companies, what kind of products you are building. And work-life balance is also a factor of which team you're in and what is the culture of that company, right? It is not very generic kind of it. I cannot answer it in a black and white way. So I think it really depends on, like, if you're working in, for example, a startup which is trying to identify product market fit, which still doesn't know what it wants to do, and you want to quickly experiment, be agile in launching products and iterate on it, probably the work-life balance will be slightly on the higher side. It will be much more kind of work than life. But if you're in a mature company where you have product market fit, you're trying to optimize on some of those areas, it might be better, right? But it's largely a nuance of the stage at which the company is and the kind of team and the culture that the company has.
Right. Great. Thank you, Gaurav, for that question. I hope we were able to answer it. The next one is from Amarjeet. What is the growth of product management in non-tech firm?
I think it's a great question. So first of all, I think when we think about product management, we tend to think software product management, and that was the focus of the discussion today also. But in my previous webinar, for example, I talked about product management in the hardware industry. For example, a company like MI or a OnePlus would have two sets of product managers, one working on the hardware stuff, deciding what kind of product to launch next, what kind of features to have it in, all of that. And there will be a set of software product managers who will be optimizing on the software and the OS and the usability of it. I think in India, because we are still a software focused country, the growth of hardware product management is still limited. That is one. Second, if you talk about software product management in non-tech companies, like let's say a banking core, like an SDFC or an ICICI versus some of the traditional industries, an FMCG company, I think all of them realize that software is there to disrupt their business models. And if they don't go the digital way, someone else is going to disrupt them. So they have to be responsive to the industry trends and cater to the next set of generation of users. So I think that is growing fast. There is no doubt about that. Every traditional company, every traditional industry is getting into software product management in a huge way, and there are enough opportunities out there.
Right. Great. Thank you so much, Amarjeet, for that question. I'm just going to take the last question now, which again I find important and relevant. Who is a good fit for product management role?
Sandhani, you want to add? I think we have addressed
I think we've already, again, people and problem. Just focus on these two things and you're a good fit.
Yeah.
Definitely. Right. So yeah, I think this is what we had in terms of the question. So thank you so much, Shantanu and Ram, for giving your time, sharing your insights, and answering all the questions. It was an amazing session and very interesting one. Participants, thank you so much for joining us today, asking your questions. It was amazing to having all your questions answered. In the first poll, I also saw a lot of participants wanted to enroll into the program. So for them, what I have done is, I'm sure this 1 hour is not going to answer all the questions that you may have. So for that, what I have done is I've just shared the link to the program. If all your questions are answered, very good, go ahead and just start applying for the program. If no, y'all can get in touch with our academic team, and we would be very happy to answer the other questions that you may have, so that you can take an informed decision for yourself. So yeah, that was one thing. Secondly, I also want to inform participants that we're not just providing you with the program, but we also have a very solid 360-degree kind of career support and career assistance that we provide you, because it's very important, and the questions that I was seeing today, and in every webinar in particular, everyone wants to know, what are the career outcomes, how they can get into the desired career outcome that they're looking for. And that is definitely what we strive for. And it's very important for us to help you accelerate your career by providing amazing content, by providing amazing industry experts, live sessions, case studies and projects that you would be doing. However, we also have a very solid team who will work with you in terms of helping you achieve your desired career outcome. We'll help you with having a roadmap prepared for yourself, tweaking your resume, optimizing your LinkedIn, because having a great LinkedIn profile is very important today. So we definitely have a very dedicated team who will be there with you throughout the journey of the program, and will help you to sort of get interviews for you, and help you selected in the company that you're looking forward for. But yeah, just one suggestion, success is definitely going to be the byproduct if you do have the relevant skill set. So yeah, that is it that I had from my end. I'm just quickly just going to launch the end poll. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, so it's important to understand and take feedback, as Ram mentioned, user engagement through ratings and reviews, NPS, we're all talking about all these concepts, right, in terms. So yeah, very important for us to understand from you, how was the session, also, if you do have any suggestions in terms of, what topics would you like to hear from us next, I'm just simply posting my email ID. You can write to me, and, we would be very, very happy to take your suggestions and inputs. If you also do have any questions, feel free to write to me. If it is within my scope, I'll answer. And if not, I will make sure that I redirect it to the specific team or the specific person. Great. Moving back to the poll, 86% participation, and so far everyone is saying yes, it was a helpful session. That is amazing. That makes us happy. I hope this 1 hour was productive for you all. And I'll just wait for a few more votes, and then probably we can just end the session. Yeah, so it's 100% participation, and everyone has said yes, the session was helpful. So yeah, that is amazing. Thank you so much, participants, for joining us today. It was a great session. Thank you so much, panelists, to you both. Thank you so much. Also, participants, if you're looking forward to attend, and learn more through these kind of sessions, we have a few planned for you. So I've just posted the link where you can check the calendar and the upcoming webinars like this that we would have. So just, keep an eye on this particular link, this particular page. You will get to know what we have next for you. So yeah, this is what I had from my end. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, participants are looking forward to enroll. Definitely very excited to see you all on board. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope to see you all in the upcoming sessions. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thanks, Antanu.
Thank you, everyone. Happy learning. Bye.
Bye.